Now available in paperback and e-readers from SJS Direct. Isis, House of Isis. The goddess next door takes on a hustling Hotep high priestess in Harlem in this Afrocentric Isis series adventure. Pick up Isis, House of Isis at online booksellers today. One of my viewers who watched my review of the CW's Black Lightning asked me what I thought of the remainder of the season. Now, after I did my initial videos reviewing the CW's Black Lightning, I still watched the program in the hopes that the program would get better. Unfortunately, the quality of the CW's Black Lightning did not improve, and I was disappointed with this whole first season of Black Lightning because instead of us seeing a television series featuring a superhero who was African American, what we saw was the promotion of identity politics and the total social justice warrior platform. And that whole SJW platform is what literally sucked all the life out of Black Lightning and took all the energy out of the show because on the CW's Black Lightning, none of the characters became people. And that's one of the things that really annoyed me about the CW's Black Lightning is that Jefferson Pierce was not his own person in the way that Luke Cage was his own person on Netflix. No, Jefferson Pierce was the idea of a good black man as the way white liberals and SJWs saw a black man. And he was going to try to clean up his neighborhood. Unfortunately, that entire story fell completely apart as we got more and more convoluted conspiracies and more stories which literally pushed SJW identity politics. And there were two episodes in this season that really annoyed me. And the first episode was inspired by the events in Charlottesville. And in this episode, which is a total SJW crap show, we have Black Lightning's daughter and her friends upset about a Confederate statue that's in their town. And because there's this Confederate statue in their town, they're going out here spray painting it, and the whole episode literally builds to the climax where Thunder decides to use her superpowers to destroy the statue. And when I saw her destroy the statue, it clearly showed me that this young woman, who's supposed to have been going to college to be a medical student, didn't understand our United States Constitution. Because when she destroyed that statue, what she did was show that she was more about being a fascist than an American citizen. Because under our Constitution, we're supposed to be fighting for the First Amendment. And under the First Amendment, everyone has a right to freedom of speech and freedom of expression. And free speech is designed to protect the speech we disagree with and designed to give other people an opportunity to have a counterpoint when we disagree with them. And in that episode, I saw a so-called superhero decide that they were going to unilaterally take action to deal with something that should have been dealt with in the courts. And that's what organizations like Antifa and these SJWs want to do. They want to trample all over our Constitution in a desperate attempt to call themselves fighting for people's freedom, but in actuality, all they want to do is actually oppress people. And it really annoyed me watching that episode and the episodes after. No one took an effort to correct this young woman and get her to understand what the United States Constitution is all about. And what really annoyed me about that episode was the fact that you have an African American woman not understanding how important free speech is, because when it came down to black people's free speech, there were numerous efforts made to curtail our free speech with numerous laws that were put on the books in slave states that prevented us from being able to even learn how to read, and numerous laws that were designed to silence our communication, not to mention unwritten social rules designed to suppress our communications, and people on the plantation like the house Negroes and the pastor who wanted to oppress black people. So her going out to destroy this statue showed me that this young lady had no understanding of black history and efforts made to silence black people and censor black people. And furthermore, I look at that whole episode, and again, I go back to a Christian principle of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. You wouldn't want somebody to take your rights away, so you wouldn't take anyone else's rights away. And that episode really, it showed me that the Thunder character really didn't understand what being a hero was. And what was sad was we never had the mother or Black Lightning come in and check her on her out-of-pocket behavior. Now, there's a confrontation between Black Lightning and his daughter, and eventually he finds out about his daughter's powers, and then he finds out his other daughter has electrical powers. But that goes on throughout the season, and I just got annoyed with another episode in this Black Lightning show. And the other episode I really got annoyed with was this episode where they arrested Jefferson Pierce because they believed that he was Black Lightning. And this was another SJW crap fest where they wanted to talk about how the black man's rights were being oppressed, and they were literally going through the whole process of stripping him down in the prison. And again, this is what SJWs like to do. They want to be able to make the black man out to be this victim, and they wanted to make it where he was being oppressed and his rights were being taken away. And again, it was all done to promote their whole SJW identity politics platform. And that's one of the things that really annoyed me about that episode. And then at the end of the episode, we have his white friend coming in to save him at the end of the episode by projecting the Black Lightning hologram. But the whole sour taste had been left in my mouth regarding that episode and the whole thing about putting a black man in prison. Because what SJWs like to do is say they're trying to show how bad things are for black people passively, but aggressively they're showing you these images of a black man in prison in an effort to degrade him. And that's one of the things that annoyed me really about this show, is just that there's so much identity politics on this show. And I really believe the Achilles and Greg Berlanti need to pull all that crap back and just give us a straight superhero show featuring a hero trying to make efforts to clean up his community and efforts to really make a commentary on the dysfunction in the black community. Because one of the big problems with Black Lightning is that Black Lightning really doesn't have a good understanding of what causes all the crime and all the drugs in the black community. And I saw that in the second episode, which really irked me the most, was where they gave that black pastor a pass. Because in that episode, when I saw them give the black pastor a pass, I knew from that episode there, they really didn't have a good understanding of what the big problem was in the black community. Because when you look at the unholy trinity of the black pastor, the Afro-American Negro woman, and the white liberal, you understand why a place like Black Lightning City had so much crime and had gangs terrorizing people. Because the black pastor is the one who refuses to check the black female about her moral dysfunction, because when it comes down to the black female, she was the one who sided with the white feminists and decided to join the white liberals' welfare state, and then created the single-parent households. And the black pastor sat there and let this happen, knowing full well what was in his Bible regarding men and women, because the black pastor could have easily sat down and said to the black woman that you were supposed to submit to your husbands and you were supposed to be married to these men who you were having sexual relations with, and creating all of these children who were out of wedlock, who eventually grew up to become the thugs who terrorize your neighborhoods and turn them into Blackistans. And that was one of the things that, again, really annoyed me about Black Lightning, is the pass given to white liberals, the pass given to black pastors, and the pass given to black women. And if you look at the unholy trinity there, you will understand, again, why the black community was the way it was and why it was almost impossible to be cleaned up. But the Achilles and Greg Berlanti gloss over all of that because they don't want to deal with those real serious issues that led to the dysfunction in the black community, because it holds mirrors to the face of the unholy trinity and many of the white liberals who produced this show, which they say they're producing in the name of diversity, but in actuality, they're just producing a show that promotes their version of a black hero, and promotes their version of a black community. And what really, another thing that really irked me about later on in the season was all of the big conspiracy theories. Because after Jefferson Pierce got arrested by the police, we got this wild and crazy conspiracy theory where black people were being kidnapped and experimented on, and Thunder was going to investigate, and there were all these mutants out there, and the boy who had been paralyzed, he had been experimented on, and he had been turned into a villain with this horrible dreadlock wig, and it just got more and more absurd as the season went on. And then there was this whole campaign to kill Black Lightning, and then everything leads to a climax where they are confronted by the evil white man. And this whole season, it just got more and more ridiculous, and I didn't see a show that really had any sort of depth or substance. I saw a show that just went off the rails with all sorts of wild conspiracy theories that literally fit the SJW's ideas about the black community and ideas about conspiracy theories. And it just got to the point where it just got incredibly absurd. And I look at this whole first season of Black Lightning, and it's not a show that I don't think I would want to come back to watch again, because I really just see a soapbox for white liberals and social justice warriors to push their narrative regarding black people, not a show that's going to give me a balanced and humanized picture of African Americans and a hero who was black, who was out to protect his community from criminals and try to help those who are in desperate need. Yes, there's a nice positive aspect with Black Lightning and his daughters and their relationship, but the rest of the show is an absolute disaster, because I look at all the identity politics they put in this show, the way they develop the characters, and that they're not their own people, and that they are paragons of ideas of black people. And I look at the dialogue, which is just constant speechifying, and it's a show that really it grates on me. It's a show that really I find incredibly annoying, and I don't think I want to come back to watch any more Black Lightning, because it's clear to me that the writers really have not found that spark that's going to get this show to energize people, because they're so caught up in their ideas about black people that they can't present us with a balanced picture of what a black person would be if they were out here trying to be a hero to protect their community from crime and the menaces of crime. And another thing that really irked me about the show is just this constant attacks on white cops, when we all know that when it comes down to the black community, the white cops is a SJW thing, and they needed to put some more balance on it and show us that there were other people in the black community who are part of the problem. Again, the black pastor is a part of the problem with a lot of the dysfunction in the black community. A lot of the black females are a part of the problem in the community. And the Achilles and Greg Berlanti never really dealt with any of that. They didn't really deal with white teachers, and they didn't really deal with spellbound Negroes. These are all aspects that really should have been explored and could have given the show some weight and some depth, but they decided to, wade in the shallow end of the pool instead of going deeper and digging deeper. And one of the reasons I believe that they didn't want to dig deep again is because if they dug deep into the dysfunction that led to much of the crime in black communities and made a commentary on it, it would hold a mirror to the face of many of the producers like Greg Berlanti and black women like Mara Brockakil and many others like the black pastors in black communities. If you'd like to read ISIS, House of ISIS, and see how a commentary on the black community is well done, I urge you to go pick that book up in paperback and ebook, and you can pick up my other SJS Direct titles like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, The Temptation of John Haynes and the Spinsterella trilogy, on Amazon.com by clicking the link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.